All right, so this video I'm just going to be doing a quick walkthrough on the trade manager. It's almost 1 month overdue. So I promised I was going to make the trade manager for it's going to be free for everyone who has a running subscription on either the executioner or AutoMarket. So as long as you have an active subscription, you get access to the trade manager and you're allowed to use the trade manager up to 5 accounts. So the first thing you need to do before you load the trade manager, you need to come to. So I'm going to be actually be using this MT5. I'm going to use MT5 to explain, but you could also use. There's both the MT4 and MT5 versions. So whichever one you prefer to use, you can still use it. The way of setting it up is still pretty much the same. So you need to come to Tools, go to Options, and then under Expert Advisors, you need to include this this uh, this web request for listed URL. You need to check it, right? Check Allow web request for listed URL, and then include this URL exactly as it is. So https://tradeexperts.com.ng, right? This if this is not added, the expert advisor will not work, right? You won't even be able to load it. So make sure that you include this under options, under tools, options, expert advisors, right? So once you've added this one, click on OK, and then you come here and drag it right to the screen. All right, so the first thing that you need to do is that you need to add all the possible symbols that you are going to be trading. So for me, I basically trade on EUSD and APUSD. I no longer have my POGBP. I used to do that before, so that's why it's still there. So add all the symbols that you want to trade or that you want the trade manager to manage, right? So one of the good things about the trade manager, as we'll get to see, is that you can load it on one chart and it will be managing even trades that are running on another symbol, like it's loaded on PUSD and it's managing trades that are running on AUSD and all that. But you need to specify the symbol you want it to work on. Now, if you're using a broker where there is a suffix, like you have some brokers that will have it as Euro USD I or Euro USD X, make sure to include it exactly as the broker has it, right? All right, so the next thing you need to put in here is your account principal. Remember, this trade manager is largely built for purposes. So to do that aspect of managing uh, your drawdown, maximum drawdown, daily drawdown, and all those things, it needs to know the account principal that's working with. So if this is your personal account, you can still put it, but this is more useful for accounts if you want to use all the maximum drawdown settings or functions. All right, so this, let me change this to 10,000 because this is a 10K demo account. All right, so your profit target. So once, if your profit target is enabled, once it gets to the particular profit target, this target is going to close all the trades, right? So you don't need to be, if this EA is running, you don't need to be on your chart when the balance is hit to close the running trades. So once I will advise you add with a little bit of space so that in case there is a bit of slippage while it is closing, it will still have met the targets, right? So sometimes if you set that exactly, so let's say you have a target of 11K, 10%, that would be 11K. And you set that exactly 11K. Once the equity hits 11K, it's going to attempt to close all the trades. But sometimes in between when it begins to close the trade and when it finishes, even though it is milliseconds, but in those milliseconds, even 0.2 pip, like a 0.2 pip difference, that's a 2 pipettes difference, could move that from 11K to some other thing. And you don't really want that. So that's why you want to add maybe something like 10, right? Oh, this has become 110. So you want to add something like this. All right, so that $10 is like a buffer that allows for any slippages or slight changes in price that might occur in those milliseconds while it tries to close down the trades. All right, so the next thing, use maximum drawdown is set to false. You can set that to true. When you have loaded E, you can still uh, change that. So we'll see how that is. Maximum drawdown. So what happens is once it reaches this maximum drawdown, it's going to cut it off. It's going to close all the trades and basically allow you to recalibrate. So let's assume you have a uh, a 10K account. That's 100%, right? So if your maximum drawdown is 91%, it means that that is 9,100, right? So you're allowed to lose 9% before the EA steps in, right? So it's up to you if you want to use the maximum drawdown. Now, the next set of features is for the daily drawdown. All right, so you need to set at what time of the day because this sometimes differs from broker to broker or from prop firm to prop firm. So I want you have to set the daily reset time. At what time of the day is it going to be reset? Now, this is your broker time. All right, this is not GMT. It's not it is the broker's time. So the broker is resetting. Generally, most brokers reset at midnight, right? They reset at midnight. But if that is there's a different case for your broker, you want to set the daily reset time in here. Then the next thing you want to choose, do you want daily balance drawdown enabled? So most prop firms now use a combination of both the daily balance drawdown and the daily equity drawdown, whichever one is it's higher or lower, but they use the two of them. So what advice to have this two set to true? Now, if your the max daily drawdown that you want to allow. So if your firm allows you a max daily drawdown of 5%, I want to set something slightly lower, so like 4.8%. So the firms I use, the maximum daily drawdown is 5%. So I set it to 4.8%. I don't want it to even get to 5%. So 4.8%. But if you get to 5%, you've already violated uh, those drawdown rules. So you want it to stop at something close. All right. You can even set it to something lower. So maybe you don't want it to even go below 3% or whatever. You could set that as well. Now, use account wide is set to true. So what this means is when you say use account wide, it means um, you want a situation where this is affecting all the pairs that are loaded, not all the pairs that you have imputed here, not only the pair on which is loaded. All right. So if you want it, if you want the trade manager to only function on a pair that you loaded it on, you only want it to manage the trades of a particular pair that you loaded it on, then you need to set account wide to false. But if you want it to manage all the trades um, that you have running uh, based on the pairs you've imputed, remember, it's not all the pairs you have running, it's the pairs you've imputed in the symbol list, right? Those are what it's going to manage. Then account wide should be set to true. Now use auto break even. Um, that's set to false by default. You set it to true. Then you have to set the break-even threshold. This break-even threshold is in terms of percentage, right? So if you have a 10 pips SL, your break-even threshold, if it's set to 100%, it's 10 pips. If it's set to 200%, it's 20 pips. If it's set to 300%, it's 30 pips. All right. So just have that. But my use trailing stop set to false by default. You could set that to true. And if you want to use the trailing stop feature, the first thing you need to set is the trailing threshold. The trailing threshold. So this trailing threshold is in percent, all right? It's in percentage. So um, So I said the trailing threshold is at a percentage, right? So just like what we did with the break even, 200 is 200% basically means 2R, right? So two times your stop loss. So for you to use both the break even and the trailing stop, you need to have your SL enabled. So if there is no SL, those two functions cannot work effectively. So once price moves a distance that corresponds to two times your stop loss, right, from your open price, then this is going to activate. You can change this. It could be 50%. All right, so it just moves 0.5 hour away. It will be 1 hour. It will be whatever you want. Now, this trail amount is in money. That's the difference there. The trail amount is in money, right? So let's say, for instance, you want. So what you are basically saying is, I want a situation where uh, this has moved 200% away, right? That's moved 2 hours away. So by what should I trade? Like, what should I keep? What should I always make sure that I have? So this is set to 100. So whenever you are setting this, you need to make sure that the trailing threshold, right? The amount of money to have locked in will be more than this, right? All right. So trailing step in pips. This is after how many moves? So let's say it was in 35 pips when it started. Um, After how many more moves or how many more pips should it adjust the SL again? So that's basically what it says. So if it moves now 40 pips, it will adjust again, right? So it means if it goes to 37 pips, no adjustments, goes to 38 pips, no adjustments. So it depends on what you really want. So for scalpers, you might want to make this figure smaller, but for day traders, swing traders, I think 5 pips is a decent one. Now they use J function. Uh, this is used to open random trades. I'm not going to explain why you might want to do that. It's up to you to figure out why you might want to do that. You can message me personally, and then I'll just explain why. So when you want to open random trades, for those of you who are in the either the trade experts group or you've been with us from Simply Bits all the way, you probably understand why we want to use something like this. So what this does is that it opens random trades at these times, right? So each of these times doesn't mean it's going to open a trade. It's going to, EA has a logic coded into it that allows it to decide whether it wants to take a trade or not. So what it does is that it creates absolutely random trades, absolutely random. So day one, it might open a trade at this time. Day two, day three, day four, it might not open it at that time. All right, so you have 3 times you could select. It's going to be extremely difficult to have same EA or to have the trade manager creating exactly the same, even on the same page. Even if you're using exactly the same times, it's going to be difficult to actually have exactly the same trades. But I encourage you to change these times, and if possible, select times that do not coincide with news releases, right? That is why you see the times that are here. Most news releases come at the 15 minutes mark or 30 minutes mark or 1 hour mark, right? So this first one is basically in Asian time. So I'm not really expecting releases at that time. You see that rarely ever, and I don't trade. My pairs are basically not Asian pairs. So I could actually afford to have this. The other ones are set to times where they can be no news. So the reason for this is it's going to open both a buy trade and a sell trade. All right, it's going to open a hedge trade. So please, if you are using a broker or a prop firm that doesn't allow hedging, please make sure that this is set to false. All right. But generally, most prop firms, brokers allow hedging. So it's going to open both a buy trade and a sell trade. And then you can set the parameters of these trades here below. Please note that even though it is set up in such a way that once you have a buy, if your buy goes to loss, your sell should go to TP. Occasionally, um, in my back there've been times when that doesn't happen. Like two trades actually lose. So that's why you want to use a very minimum lot size if possible. All right, so it's a very minimum lot size and then have it running. Another thing you could do is to use a very large. You could keep your SL large and then just close it. It's going to close manually or automatically at this time. All right, so that it doesn't even get hit, right? So the trade just appears. One reason why you might want to do something like this is if you have a prop firm that insists you might trade, you must trade 3 times every week. Eventually leaked out one, and all that. This basically just takes care of that. Does that. It usually trades running almost every day of the week. So you can set the SL in pips, taking pips for the trades that will be open at this times, the lot size, and then the auto close time. So when it gets to this time, if the trades haven't hit their respective targets, it's going to shut the trades down. All right, so let's click on OK. All right, so ab initio is the way it will appear, and then if you want the profit target enabled, just make sure that this is selected, right? Make sure. So once one is activated, something's activated, it's going to turn to green. So that's how you know it is on, right? So you switch on your profit targets. Then your risk manager, when you click on the risk manager, it's going to bring out other options. So your max drawdown is set to false. You can set it to true by just clicking this. All right. All right. So the reason why it's saying all right. So the reason why it's created that situation. Let's go to. So I went back and didn't make a change. So trade manager, this. All right. So this was the problem. I reset it back to default. So I said the what's it called? The account principal is 100,000 and the maximum drawdown is 91%. So that means that the maximum drawdown would have been 91,000. But this is a 10K account. I think the balance is currently around 10,400 or something. So the EA immediately tells you you've hit your maximum drawdown. So it's going to shut down all the uh, all the trades. So that's basically why that is. So if we change this back to 10,000, this should be 11,010. And click on OK. If we on this now, it should be fine. Right. So we want to pay attention to those numbers. Just wanted to show that how it works. So at the moment, it means all our drawdowns are enabled. Off this, just switch it off, change it to hash color, right? So if I want it on, just click on it. Green, screen, it means they are all in effect. All right, next thing I have is the trade manager. All right, so the first thing is the accounts wide, it's set to this on. Switch it up, switch it on, switch it on. All right, now auto break even, right? Switch this on, switch it off, auto trailing stop, switch it on, switch it off. Now, the reason why we see auto break even and auto trailing stop, so trailing stop is always auto, is because you could actually come here and break even. So let's, if we take a trade and your trade is in profit, all you just need to do is to click on this button and it will automatically um, break even. Now, if this is set to account wide, then it will break even on every single trade that is in profit. It's going to move every single trade that is in profit to break even. All right. If you want it to only work on the pairs that you have loaded, remove this account wide, click on break even. It's going to break every trade that is in profit on Euro USD. It's going to set it to break even, right? and you can use close trades, delete pending orders. Uh, so let's do something real quick. I'm going to use the executioner to take some trades. So let's use markets. Uh, right, right. So we have the trade running now. Let me take this up. Right, so we have the trades running at so where they are. So let's say I want to close, in fact, let me do another one. Let me move this to sell, and let me do a sell limit because sell at market as well. Execute. So we have uh, our two orders now running. So if I want to close these orders together, all right. So this account wide is set to false, right? So this is loaded on Euro USD. So if I click on close trades, all the trades are closed, right? Because it's set to Euro USD. But let's do something real quick. Let's go to GU and let's do the same thing that we did. Switch this to the back. So and execute as well. Sure. All right. So we have our two trades running. So let's now go to Euro USD. Remember, account wide is set to false. If I click on close trades, nothing happens, right? Nothing happens because it's on a different pair. But if I now click on account wide and click on close trades, then you see closes the trades. So that's basically how that works. And you could do the same thing for pending orders if you want to delete pending orders on a pair or all the pending orders that you have running on the account. So that's basically how that works. Then finally, we have the JKJ function. Now, for your trade manager to work effectively, it needs to be on at every single time. So you actually need a VPS to get the best out of the trade manager. But let's say, for instance, that you don't want to use a VPS just yet, and you just want this running on your system, and then for one reason or the other, you just want to take random trades at certain times, right? So I could just come here and say trade down, and it's going to so trades taken. The manager taking trades, right? It's going to just send you a notification. So you see it opens a buy and sell trade 0.01. Uh, that was what we told it to do. I should open the trade with 0.01. SL is 5 pips, right? Look at this 757, the buy trade. SL is 707, and your TP is also 5 pips. So that is basically what we can do, right? So you could come at any time of the season and just pick some random trades without uh, really wasting time setting it up and all that. It's also something you could do just using the execution as well, but I just decided to build in uh, all that function into the trade manager. So that's basically that about the functions of the trade manager. So if you have any questions, let's use the trade manager to close the trades. Right. So if you have any other questions or anything, uh, just feel free to let me know. So if you have a running subscription of the executioner or the AutoMarket and you wish to get a trade manager, just let me know at Showbiz on Telegram, or you could just comment down in the video. I would like to get this, and I'll reach out to you as well. All right, so that'll be all for now. Enjoy.